This clip is brought to you by VegasWinners.com. Get expert sports betting advice from some of the best handicappers in the world. Head on over to VegasWinners.com and win yourself some money.
Great friend of the show, Lenny Bakken, wants to know, how was Bruce's pay structured in Mid-South? Was it per event? Did he have incentives? Was it an increase from Houston?
Wow. In a lot of ways, I made more money for doing just like the announcing gigs and interview gigs and everything in Mid-South in 2 or 3 days than I did for the week in Houston sometimes. So I was very fairly compensated. I can't complain one iota about the compensation from Bill Watts. Even when I was out with mononucleosis for 10 weeks, Bill Watts paid me where Houston didn't.
Wow. So all that rap about everybody getting a pay cut, that's another perspective. Ringside Rant.
Yeah, Bill took care of me. And I give that credit again. That goes to Jim Ross, who called me every day to check on me.
Look at you. Ringside Rant wants to know, do you think in the end Mid-South wound up being a feeder system for the WWF and the NWF?
I tell you, it was a place where the up and comers were, and they were making stars. So yes, I do think that was probably one of the last vantage points of some big stars where they could come from.
Interesting to ask you this question. Tony Flowers wants to know, Magnum Ta is touted by most as someone who would have been the guy if not for the accident. Was this opinion universally shared, or did he have his detractors back then? And what were your feelings on his future?
Terry Allen is a human being, is one of the nicest guys you'd ever want to meet. So I don't know of anybody that was, I can't say, oh my God, yeah, no, Terry was not liked. That's just not the case. I think Terry was universally liked, universally respected, and was viewed as the future in so many ways because he had the look, he had the talent. Terry had it all. And the unfortunate accident, I think, did derail that. And I do think that Terry would have been a hell of a showpiece and a hell of a top guy for somebody.
Here's one from Doughboy. Is there anyone from Mid-South that Bruce thought could have made an impact on a national or global scale, but just never did?
I always, from a back of house, Joel Watts, I wish that Joel had stuck around longer in WWE because I thought Joel was borderline genius at the time and very good at what he did in the production, the videos, and just his view of the business was different. And he could have contributed big time. As far as in front of the camera, I think that pretty much they got everybody that was worth anything.
Adam wants to know, who's someone that we as fans barely hear of in Mid-South, but had a real effect on Bruce at the time?
I would probably say Ken Mantell. Ernie Ladd to a point, but Ken Mantell more than anybody, and Eddie Gilbert.
What about Instagram wrestling historian wants to know, what do you think Bill Watts' legacy is?
I think Bill will go down as the Mid-South guy. Unfortunately, I think the Bill's legacy will also be scarred with some of the comments that he's made through the years.
What about Q Hicks here? He says, how well did you and Cornette get along back then?
Cornette and I got along great back then.
Joseph wants to know, do you think a Butch Reed versus Terry Taylor program could have saved Mid-South at the end? Because we all know that Butch was over in Florida.
Absolutely. At that time, Butch was working on the COVID cure because he was just that far ahead of things.
Michael wants to know, what are your memories of working as a ring announcer for the first Crockett Cup?
That I didn't get a Crockett Cup shirt.
Damn it.
The polo shirts. Yeah. Everybody got one but me. Me and Joe Watts, neither one of us got one. That's my memory right there. That's my memory. But it was a lot of fun. I will say that, man. It was a hell of a weekend there at the Hyatt Regency at the Superdome, and it was a lot of fun seeing a lot of old friends and meeting a lot of the legends that came in.
When Arn talks about working that territory, he talks about how brutal the schedule was because it was a ton of long drives. It was notorious for being the place where you drove the most, and usually not highway miles, but like backwood 2-lane roads type situation. Was that your experience?
Absolutely. And I didn't have to do it every week, but it was, the travel was brutal.
Here's one from Michael. He wants to know, Mid-South produced a lot of talent that spent time in the WWE. Who'd be your top 5 talent to never make it in the WWE? Can you give me one?
I think Magnum immediately comes to mind.
Yeah.
I'll cheat and I'll look in my book here. Dick Slater never really made it in WWE. And Dick was a big star there. Dr. Death is probably, I think Dr. Death would be at the top of that list more so than anybody.
Purple Pillow Haver says, what the fuck
You're
was
a
up
Purple
with
Pillow Haver.
what the fuck is up with those belts? Did you like the Mid-South belts?
Hated it. The big giant one, the North American.
You hated that one?
I hated that. It's too fucking big. Who could wear it? The first guy to have it was Brad Armstrong or Ernie. Like took up Brad's whole body. It's terrible. Very cumbersome. Yeah, it was.
What about Jonathan? He says, is it true a lot of the wrestlers lived around Alexandria, Louisiana? I've always heard Cornette talk about Alexandria being the home base for a lot of the guys because it was seemingly the center of the state.
Exactly. Wherever you went, it was the center of the territory, from Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Oklahoma. I'd say 90% of the boys lived in Alex.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe this is real, but we not only got a handicapper, but we got the best ever. How are you so good at handicapping these games? 4-0, that's quite a streak already.
Let's talk about every pick I've given this year in the NFL as an example. 23-8. Every pick I've given this year. 4 weeks in the bag, 23-8. There's nobody in the country that can match what I do, but I always make sure, because anybody, Conrad, could make up anything. They could tell you and blow smoke and tell you, oh, I'm the greatest. But I am independently monitored and documented, so nobody could ever question what I say and go, I don't believe it. I send every pick to an independent monitoring and documentation service that has to get the pick before the game goes off and then publishes it after the game goes off so anybody could see what I gave. But this is the best start I've ever had. I've never been this good to start a season. You don't win every week, 4 weeks in a row, everything you put out. It's been the kind of year I've had. So get on a hot streak, because when a guy's on a hot streak like me, you want to ride it. I've always had a talent for picking winners. Never quite as hot as I am right now, but I've always been very good at it. And I think it's because I do more homework than anybody else. The average guy or gal watching this podcast, they don't have time. They have a career. They have jobs. They might read the newspaper or go online and see something, but they don't have time 80 hours a week to study the games. That's what I do. And I have a crew of guys behind me, my consultants, who every week we get together 3 times a week and they throw their ideas at me. I throw my ideas at them. And then I pick the final 5 plays on Saturday and Sunday in college and pro football. I've got a great team behind me too, but we're all doing together hundreds of hours of homework. So you don't have to. It's all at vegaswinners.com.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to vegaswinners.com right now. Let's win some money. Black Wrist wants to know, does Bruce have any stories about Ox Baker or Killer Brooks?
Not really. Killer Brooks, man, was one really fine gentleman, and he was one of those guys that you have a picture in your mind before you meet him, what they're going to be like, and almost, ooh, man, this is a scary guy. But Killer was super, super nice to me, man. It couldn't have been better to me from the times in Dallas, Mid-South, and even after he retired. And last time I saw him was when I was in TNA. Great guy. Ox, super guy too, but I just wasn't around him that much.
Gary wants to know, what was Boyd Pierce's actual role in Mid-South, and who came up with Dr. Death and Hacksaw where they wore football gear in the ring?
Boyd Pierce was just the ring announcer and the commentator. And his duties as a commentator basically consisted of, hello, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Mid-South Championship Wrestling. We got an exciting show for you tonight. And here's Bill. And then he wouldn't say anything to, thank you very much. Tune in next week for more Mid-South Championship Wrestling.
What about
that was actually Boyd's viewpoint of what he did.
The football gear in a match? What'd you think?
Well, God damn, they're football players. Put them in football gear. Sassafras. I don't know, but I'm going to give that one to Jim.
Ray LeDuc, last one. Who do you think defined Mid-South Wrestling? Is it JYD?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think JYD's biggest star to come out there. There are two people that define it. That's Bill Watts and Jim and Junkyard Dog.
I think we've said it all. Is there anything we've missed about Mid-South that you want to throw in here?
I'm sure we missed a lot, but I thought we did a pretty damn good job. See, I like these where there's not a lot of preparation for you. We just bullshit.
Just freestyle.
Just freestyling, baby.
Next week, we're going to get back to our regularly scheduled programming. We're going to be talking about Cyber Sunday 2006. This is a change from Taboo Tuesday, and it's going to feature all three brand champions against each other. So we got John Cena versus Booker T versus Big Show. Kevin Federline is going to debut in the build up to this show. We got DX versus Rated RKO with our old pal Eric Bischoff as the special guest referee. Umaga versus Kane. Lita versus Mickey James. And the Spirit Squad is going to take on Ric Flair, and the fans get to vote on Flair's tag team partner. Will it be Roddy Piper? Will it be Dusty Rhodes? Or will it be Sergeant Slaughter? A lot of fun stuff to talk about from 2006 next week here on the show. I'm looking forward to that one, man.
It's going to be funky like a monkey. And now that what were you dressing up as for Halloween? You going to be a pumpkin head?
I'm actually going to be our favorite bartender here in town, Dre. He and I are going to be the Dudley Boys. I'm going to be Bubba. I don't know if you could have guessed that. Dre will be Devon. And Clint from Hershey is going to be Joel Gertner.
Interesting. Are you having a party at the mansion?
No, we're doing it at our favorite watering hole that's closed on Sunday, but open.
That's special.
Yeah. So do a little get together, a little wrestling, if you will. And the rumor and innuendo is that Cassio and Silva are going to be like a fat rock and roll express.
Well,
so if we actually get Silva in tights, I'll be sure to send you a picture.
Oh, please. Please. And shave him.
Shave him?
Yeah, shave his whole body.
He's a hairless. And he's
shave him anyway.
Nah, I don't have that many blades.
Okay.
Boys and girls, that's going to do it. I think this was fun, man. We kicked it old school, got to talk about some Mid-South wrestling, and I'd like to convince you, take a picture or two from your old booking sheets there and post them to social, or slide them over to me and I'll put them on the show account. But you got some fun stuff right there that I'd like to at least give people a peek at.
Yeah, we'll see.
And we'll see you next week right here on Something to Wrestle with Bruce Prichard.
You rock on. Be nice to people.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.